Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about The Visitor by Chauncey G. Parker III. And this edition is from Encyclopocalypse. And this is the final book that I read in my book bundle of books made into movies. This was made into it says cult classic of unknown origin. And this is the story of Bart Hughes and his war against a rat. That's the nutshell. That's basically it. So, for the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this 4 out of 5. Wasn't sure that's where I was going to end up, but it is where I ended up. And I really liked this. It is, regular viewers will know, my favorite subgenre of horror is killer animals. That's not what this is. It is not a killer rat book. This book is Moby Dick, essentially. So our main character, Bart Hughes, he has a lovely brownstone in Manhattan. He's got a great job, looking at a promotion coming up. He's got a beautiful wife and he's got kids. And his wife and kids have gone to, I believe it's Maine, for the summer. And he spent, would it be Memorial Day weekend? Or 4th, actually, I think it's 4th of July weekend. Maybe it's Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July is coming up. Anyway, he spent a holiday weekend up there with them. He has come home and he thinks he sees a mouse get into their brownstone. And so he's looking around, trying to find it, sets trap, can't find it anywhere. And apparently when they had first moved in, they had a problem with mice. And he kind of obsessed over it until it was all taken care of. And everything's been fine until now. Now he thinks he saw a mouse. And he starts hearing scratching in the walls. And the trap he sets out, I think eventually the food's gone and the trap is snapped, but there's nothing in it. And then he gets a water leak, some sort of appliance problem. And when the repairman comes, he's like, "Oh yeah, you got a rat chewed through this." And he's like, "Oh, it's a rat, not a mouse." And he just, eventually, things escalate. He becomes obsessed, absolutely obsessed with this rat. And he thinks the rat has become obsessed with him. And we're watching a man slowly being driven mad by this rat in his house. And it works. There's a lot of points where you're really going to question, is there even really a rat? Has he actually gone insane? There are points where people question, well, has anybody else seen any of this evidence? Has anyone else experienced any of these things? Was there a rat? And now it's gone, but he thinks it's still there because he didn't, no body, no crime. So it's just reading about a man's descent into madness as he battles this perfectly natural creature. And I think it works. I think the tension builds as his life disintegrates. And, there's not a lot to say about it. I don't want to give anything away. It's a character study. It's, when did this come out? It's a look at life in New York in, let's find the copyright page. Looks like the original copyright is 1981. So, so there are some things, it's a little dated. Obviously no cell phones, computers, home computers, or any of that kind of thing. So he's sort of relying on, there's a lot of looking through the yellow pages. Some people who read this nowadays might not know what that means. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say about this. It's a well-written, interesting story that focuses almost completely on one character. There are other characters in a dozen or so, maybe up to a dozen other characters in the story. We see him at work. We see him interacting with other people in the neighborhood. He talks to his wife on the phone, but really the focus is all on him and how his obsession with this rat is destroying his life. And it's really, really wild. And I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked it. That's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Excuse me. And I don't know what else to say about this. I just did a review moments ago, and I think it ended up being like 20 minutes long because I had so much to talk about. But it had also been made into a movie, and there were some other things. But this looks like I've only been recording for a little over 6 minutes, and it's well written. It moves along at a good pace. We're seeing this descent into madness. I'm just repeating myself here to add a little more time to the video. I recommend it. 4 out of 5 stars. The Visitor by Chauncey G. Parker III. And I mean, you got your cute little rat face on the cover. Peter Weller. Oh, that was something I wanted to talk about. So Peter Weller stars in the movie. Also Shannon Tweed. I believe, according to the trivia I read, it was the first major motion picture for both of them. But I'm not going to remember names here. The director of Unknown Origin, the movie that was based on the book The Visitor, the director of that movie is the father of the guy who directed Mandy, the Nicolas Cage movie, whose name I don't remember, which is why I'm not saying anybody's names. But yeah, I was looking at stuff, and the guy that directed the crazy, wild, crazy, amazing Nicolas Cage movie Mandy, his father is the guy that directed this, and a bunch of other stuff. I feel like there's like Rambo 2 in there, First Blood Part 2, Rambo First Blood Part 2 or something. The guy that did this did other stuff too, the movie for this. But I just thought that connection was crazy. And I'm almost certain I'm correct and not thinking about something else. But as always, if I am wrong about anything, please let me know down in the comments. So that's all I've got to say about this. Recommendations, I mean, basically, it's tough. Do I just go with rat books, in which case I would recommend The Rat Man's Notebook, which is the basis for the movie Willard. I don't remember the author's name. The Rats by James Herbert, classic killer rat book. The Hunter Shea, Rattus New Yorkus, I think is the novella that I read. Then he has Manrattan, but I haven't read that yet, so I can't recommend it. But Rattus New Yorkus was really, really good. A lot of fun. Killer rats. I got to read the sequel, Manrattan, one of these days. And I'm trying to think of books that have a character sort of descending into madness, becoming obsessed with something. And I would say, I want to say it's The Reckoning by Adam Neville, but I don't think that's it. I don't think I've read The Reckoning yet. I think it's Cunning Folk. Let me look it up. So, Cunning Folk, Adam Neville. There's the cover. Yes, that is the one. Cunning Folk. In its way, very reminiscent of The Visitor. So I highly recommend that. I do have a review of that. So maybe that'll be the little review that I put the link for down here at the end of the video, because that reminds me of some of it. Reminds me of The Visitor. So there's some recommendations, and that's it. One more time, The Visitor, Chauncey G. Parker III, 4 out of 5 stars. And that's all I've got. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you care to follow me on other social media, I have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. And that's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I've been Eric Smith. Until next time, read more books.